Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be a very unique opportunity today to be speaking with both Ben and Mark from APE. Now, you guys may know, it's no secret, I use a lot of the APE stuff on all of the builds I do here at Darling Downs Harley. So what better way than to get a bit of a background of the company itself, the guys behind it, where it started, future developments for the company, and just essentially have a bit of a discussion today about all things performance and going fast. So let's have a bit of fun, guys. This is a pretty off-the-cuff discussion today. We've literally just pulled up work for about half an hour to have this discussion. So it is going to be as genuine and authentic as possible. So thanks, Ben and Mark, for joining us today. For those who reach out to APE on Facebook a lot, you will be most likely talking to Ben. So Ben, if you wanted to say good day to everyone and just introduce yourself.
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm good,
Yeah,
mate.
thanks for having us, Dominic.
So, Mark, you're on the other side there. Mark, if you just wanted to have a bit of an introduction to yourself, well, I'll give you a little bit of one for the people viewing. Mark is actually the owner of Darling Downs Harley, where I work, and is a co-owner with Ben of APE, and also owner of Harbour City Harley Davidson in Gladstone. So, Mark is a big player in this discussion too. So, welcome, Mark. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having us, Tommy. Been doing it now 20 years. Got to meet Ben probably about 20 years ago.
Right.
Relationship started with Benny. I think I fitted 7 camshafts to one of his twin cams one time to try different things and try. And he just wouldn't give up on trying stuff. So we started, doing stuff together. And APE was born, I suppose, in I think 2018. We started putting kits together just off the back of Screaming Eagle losing its teeth sort of thing. It was, going down the track of more, EPA friendly sort of stuff, and we found we could extract a lot more power out of these things if we, just put the right things together. So that's about where it kicked off, and now here we are. So
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's been.
a little bit further there, Tommy. Like Marky mentioned, I think I've probably been buying bikes off Mark for 20 years or so. And then I was always that customer that would come in with something unique, mate. Obviously in Australia, here you could get S&S and you could get Gearling and Andrews, and they're all good quality parts. But I've always been one to do a lot of research. And, I was seeing these brands advertised in the States like, T-Man, Cyclorama, Woods. And I just had this, just a desire to try all these different camshafts. And when we bring a cam down and we'd fit it on a Saturday yard and have a beer or two, and then off we'd go again. And some worked, some didn't, but it was just a good way of testing different products on the market.
Absolutely, and I think that shines through, especially nowadays with so many options on the market. You can generally see a lot of the camshafts that are available will dance around similar numbers as far as lift and duration go, but they've just got to be slightly different just to call themselves a different cam. But without going through that process, as you said, Ben, just getting bored of a cam after a couple of 100 Ks for sometimes, you'd put one in and you'd be swapping it out the next day. Without doing that sort of thing, you're really not exploring all avenues. And I think it speaks volumes for APE, where I know for a fact you guys, and especially, Ben, you're always swapping exhaust systems, air filters, intake manifolds, camshafts. The list goes on. It's endless. Changing combustion size, combustion chamber volumes, and that sort of thing. It's the very small details that I feel are paid attention to by APE, which really I feel gives you guys the leading edge in Australia as far as performance Harley Davidson go. I can't think of anyone else in the position APE's in that's leading the pack. So.
And Mark and I always claim that, mate. We never state that we're engineers, mate. We're two guys having a crack, and the way we've learned over the years is purely through practice, mate. It's we'll have a theory and then we'll run with it, and sometimes our theories work and sometimes they don't. But the only way you're ever going to know is by trying it in a different combination with a different pipe and different air cleaner, like you said. And that's how we continue to keep learning, mate, and developing.
Exactly. I think you two probably make a really good combination when it comes to wanting to go fast. Because I know Mark. Well, I know personally you've got a pretty rich history in drag racing. You've got. What do you want to just give some of the viewers? They may not know a little bit about your history, just with your drag racing and your cars and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I started drag racing probably. I broke my back in motocross. Had to get off motocross bikes, so had to go fast still. So drag racing started. BL Commodore through to a big nitrous Camaro, through to a door slammer, 1941 Willys. Raced that for a couple of seasons. Got out of it for a little while. Now we've got a 1957 Nomad with a screw blown Hemi in it, going. Racing in Mackay this weekend, down to Sydney in October to running Grudge King. So it makes about 4,000 horsepower. So it's a bit of fun. Definitely keeps you lively. But the bikes are where we've been enjoying ourselves lately. Bin checking my latest ride is a nitrous 143 cube Softail of description, part box bike. It's really cool. So just anything fast we're into. It's cool.
Absolutely. Is there any standout moments you guys can think of that in the early days? I mean, APE generally, I guess you could say, took off with the Milwaukee 8. Are there any challenges that stand out from the early days that you guys can recall that maybe some of the viewers might appreciate some background or insight on?
Oh, there are lots of challenges, like the getting supply of things that we wanted to try originally was quite tough. That's when that relationship with Cyclorama kind of started. Ben and Wes and Pam had a great relationship, and we started trying a few of their cams working. What out there is that everything has to hold hands. If you want a combination to work, you can have all the big dollar parts, but if they're mixed matched and not, they don't work together, it's never going to work. But what we found with a lot of the camshafts was, if you could take a bit of this and put a bit of that into it, it would, would work. And that was the good relationship with Wes. He'd start making us a one-off cam and send it to us to try. And then, that's just grown from there.
Yeah, and touching on that, I think one of the first bikes that comes to mind is our Fat Bob, which, Marky raced at the Winners that year. I think we got that down to around a 10.1006 or something like that, 130 mile an hour, just a foot shifted. 128 cube. It started as a 120 cube. That was when we didn't have the 4250 cylinders, so we bought out the Screaming Eagle cylinders, the 4185, and then we started playing with camshafts. And early in the piece, we were using a few single pattern cams. We noticed there was quite a fair bit of reversion, and then I think that's when we tried the first cam from Cyclorama. So that was originally a 530-2, I think it was. That thing was making 170 horsepower way back in 2018 there. So at the time, we thought it was pretty impressive for a stock case bore, foot shifted, stock wheelbase setup. And, from there, we moved on to Primate, which is probably our highlight so far. First 9-second bagger here on Australian soil, all motor M8. I think that one meet at Benarabi, we'd been chasing that 9-second pass meet after meet. And then once Mark cracked it, I think he went 7 or 8 9-second passes in one meet. Just probably that'd be the pinnacle of our, of the 8 kind of benches so far.
And moving forward, Ben, some of the developments moving forward, have you guys got anything in the works or big plans for 8 moving forward? Like, where do you see 8 going in the next 5 years or so?
Yeah, we've got a hell of a lot of plans, mate, and it's just Mark and I are both a little bit time poor. We've both got APE, and we've also got other ventures and businesses that we're involved in. It's just trying to is find the time to put all these plans into fruition and move forward with it. But we got a heap of things, more development, mate. We got some other stuff we want to roll out within the dealer network as well, and we've got a consultant come on board to give us a bit of a hand with that, and just I suppose keep us accountable and offer some direction as well. That's probably a little bit outside our field. But we can sit here and talk about Harley Davises and making things go fast all day, but we need a hand in that side of things to keep things moving forward.
Absolutely. So it sounds like there's a bit of expansion in the future developments for APE, which is always good. I mean, getting it out there. I mean, obviously the social media scene these days is huge, and Ben, I'm sure you're aware. I mean, you're heavily involved on the 8 Facebook page there. Just how much traffic you can gain through the social media network and reaching so many different parts of the globe and the country just within a single post. I mean, it's unbelievable the reach you get nowadays, and you're probably finding the more you're out there showing guys what you're not necessarily boasting. You're just saying, hey, this is what we're doing. We're having fun, and come and get involved. And a lot of the well, all of the APE stuff, as far as I'm concerned, is track proven, dyno proven, and just backed up by raw data on the field. So,
Yeah, I suppose
I think that's
we never exactly, mate. And we never thought we'd be at this level, mate. You know, we first, like Mark mentioned, we first started the venture. We seen a bit of a hole in the market, and we were chasing, you know, different parts out of the US, and that's where we decided to kind of give it a crack and start bringing some of these parts in. And we formed that relationship with Wes and Pam, which is, you know, invaluable. Like the ability to have, you know, a custom campground in a really timely manner to try, you know, a theory you've got is amazing. But yeah, exactly like you said, mate. It's, we never thought we'd get to this stage. You know, social media is really blowing us up. You know, we're sending parts, you know, to the UK, you know, to Thailand, to New Zealand, even back to the US. So we never thought we'd get to this stage, but you know, that's where we are now, and all we can do is just keep trying new things and moving forward with it, and improving what we currently do.
And for the US customers, if they can check what time it is in Australia, or they ring. Generally, I get a phone call about 1 or 2 in the morning from a US number, so and they don't get an answer. You wouldn't want to talk to me at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. Wouldn't make any sense at all. So, yeah.
No, that's all good. I'm sure they understand. Mark, just briefly, there was a big achievement there. I guess it's almost 12 months ago now. The collaboration with Harley Davidson Australia and APE, you were able to join forces there and create the Talon brand with the I guess modified Road Glide off the floor. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, that was just an idea we had, you know, just seeing other manufacturers over the years when they going to do something a little bit risque, they'll use, you know, someone who does that to do that for them. And the Talon was, you know, the performance bagger, especially the bagger league racing in America. It's really cool. Like some of them bikes are only 5 seconds slower a lap than a super bike, and that was, you know, trying to make baggers cool. So that was the angle Harley were going with. And I think we've done that. Yeah, like the first Talon sold out really quickly. We're halfway through our Talon Road King. You've just built one and got it on the floor down there. To me, it's probably, you know, one of the most enjoyable bikes I've ridden. I rode the first one to Adelaide, and then, you know, you boys did a heap of laps on the track down there. We raced it. It's still running around, going strong. So the whole idea wasn't a race bike. It was a performance touring bike. You could do everything with.
It definitely
and Harley got on board. So
it definitely was a very fun piece of machinery to ride. A lot of you guys may know I was down in Adelaide there. I think it was almost 12 months ago now. It might have been not quite 12 months ago down in Adelaide there for the launch of this thing, among other things. And yeah, I was lucky enough to ride the first 1 and 2 Talons down there with Brian Farrell on the racetrack and have a bit of fun on the drag strip and just have a really, really good time. I mean, for those who may not know what the Talon was, Mark just outlined it briefly there, but it was basically a Road King Road Glide ST off the floor, modified with a 131 cubic inch combination with a camshaft in it from APE and some Olin suspension on there. A few other bits and pieces just to really make it a performance bag. It was an outstanding piece of machinery. As Mark said, sold out very quickly. There was only 10 units on the planet. And as Mark said, we're halfway through the second batch with the Road King. So a similar design. It's a 131 with a 485 in it, and again the Olin's, the Screaming Eagle Olin's collaboration suspension on there. A few other bits and pieces with some drag bars and that. So guys, if you want to check those out, there is only 10 of these guys on the planet, so get in quick if you want to get your hands on one. I've actually put together number 5 here. It's on the floor here at Darling Downs Harley. So if you guys want that one, reach out to us, let us know. Otherwise, get in contact with Ape to secure your own on there. But guys, moving forward, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things with dynos and that sort of thing, guys. I mean, there's a lot of, Ben, you probably cop this the most. There's a lot of discrepancies with people discussing dynos, correction factors and this and that. Did you want to maybe vent or touch on anything in that area?
Yeah, we won't vent. You know, we try to keep everything positive. All I always say, there's so many variables with dynos, you know, not only atmospheric variables, but, you know, right down to the tuner's experience, you know, what gear ratio they're pulling in, the condition of the bike, you know, the combination of parts. So we try not to get too hung up on it. We did cop a fair bit of flack for not posting SAE. So I can touch on that. In Australia here, everyone uses STD correction factor. Whether you think that's right or wrong, you know, that's not for us to argue, but every shop you see in Australia will post in STD correction factor. You know, we were copping a fair bit of heat from that, and people are, you know, making kind of false dyno claims and fudging figures. But, you know, to us, all we do now, I post both the SAE and STD graph. That kind of keeps the whole world happy.
Yeah.
But like I always say, like, a dyno is just a tool. You know, at the end of the day, you want to have a look at the curve, how the bike rides, the gains that are achieved as well. So we try not to get too hung up on it. But like, you know, at the end of the day, we try and back up everything we do with the time slip, even right down to a cam package. You know, Sambo threw a bloody 485 in a off the shelf breakout a while back there, set of slip-ons and went like 11.21 at, you know, 116, 117 mile an hour. So whether you want to argue whether that thing made 125, 130 horsepower or not, no, we're trying to get in there and back up our results with the time slip. So yeah, like I said, we don't get too hung up on it. There's some comments there that, you know, can get a bit carried away and people will lose a bit of sleep over it, but I try not to get too serious with it all.
Yeah.
Biggest thing with the dyno that I find, Tommy, is the misconception of what sixth gear is in a transmission. So sixth gear is 1-to-1 gear ratio, and the DynoJet site clearly says that, you know, to get a true reading, it needs to be pulled at 1-to-1, which is sixth gear. So if you pull in fourth gear, it just confuses the dyno. It thinks that you're not accelerating as quickly as what you are for that, you know, for that window. So back when dyno started, when the 4-speed was out, that was top gear, 4-speed, and then there was, you know, they went to a cruise drive transmission, which you thought was an overdrive, but all that they did was change the bottom drive ratio and made it 6 gears. So just to get them closer together. So.
Yeah, so that's what we always say. You want to be comparing apples to apples. Like, there is still some shops that pull in fourth gear, and that's cool. Like, I'm not saying they're a bad tuner at all. They're probably some of the best tuners we got here in Australia, but when you're comparing apples and apples, and you look at all these other dyno graphs that are posted all over Facebook, any day you can jump on there. There's graphs everywhere.
Yeah.
And a lot of them guys in the US are always pulling in 1-to-1, which is 6. So, you know, you see combinations go together, and it might be, you know, 10 horsepower shy, and we'll get the question, oh, you know, mine's only made 150 yet. You know, you guys made 160, and, you know, Perth made 160, and Freddie made 160. But, you know, we're all pulling in, you know, 5th or 6th gear. So if you're pulling 4th, you're going to see a smaller figure on the screen.
It's generally about 10 horsepower, like the difference between 4th and 6th on our dyno. Like, so.
Yeah. I think another big factor is too, guys. I mean, you see that the first thing one of the first comments you might see on a graph is with a graph that may have a little dip at the start there. Oh, I bet you feel that, but you have to remember that, I mean, the three of us know, and many other viewers probably are aware too, when you do a dyno run, you're down at probably 1,800 RPM in 6th gear, and then you're pulling the trigger, getting a big full sweep of the RPM curve. That's not how you ride a motorcycle on road. No one is in 6th gear at 1,800 RPM. I mean, if you are, there's, I don't know what you're doing, but you know, for a fact, when you're down in 3rd gear and 4th gear at those lower speeds, the gear ratio itself removes any said dips that you may feel. I mean, sure, there are some combinations and pipes that will induce a dip further in the RPM range that, you may feel, but I think a lot of people do get a little bit too focused on that initial dip and trying to find something wrong with it, perhaps, rather than looking at what's actually going on. So that's my little 2 cents there, just to throw in on top.
Yeah, no, perfect.
So, Ben, just another thing just with you, but sorry to lean on you a bit there, but it's very good to have you on board as far, I mean, for a lot of the viewers, Ben's a pretty much a walking encyclopedia as far as, you know, I could probably test him here and say, Ben, give me the duration of a CR 540, I mean, you'll know it straight off the top of your head. Same with the lift. I mean, you'll know the LSA of any, probably I could throw 485, give me the LSA on that. Like, you'll just know it. And I know that's where a lot of APE's development comes from, I feel, because you yourself are so passionate about it, and you'll know exactly, like, right, well, we did this with an 88cc chamber. We went down to 86, but we increased the lift here, and we did that, but we still used this head. But, you know, those on-center manifolds, we used it on the round port head, but it didn't really work, so we used the square port. And, you know, there's lots of different stuff that I know that you'll get right down into the nitty-gritty of, and really, you know, you won't just put it together and say, oh, what's happened here? You'll actually I know you'll probably lose sleep over it trying to find out exactly what happened and why it happened. So, is there anything you want to
I think
touch on there?
that's what keeps us ticking, mate. Is just testing all these theories. With the cams, like we mentioned earlier, with Wes at Cyclorama, like the original 483, which is our first cam that we collaborated with Wes and Pam on, and back then we seen some great results with the the 480, and we were seeing, it was working fine as a bolt-on option in the 114s and the 107s, and we were in the dyno there one day, and Mark said this thing would be good with another 10 degrees of intake duration and maybe a little bit more on the exhaust. And now we went to Wes with them ideas, and all of a sudden we get 2 test cams in the mail. 2 weeks later, and bang, he nailed the first go. Actually, the 483 was the very first time we tried it. Went 128, 136 in a lowrider Esper Freedoms on it. So we knew we hit the jackpot straight up. But then without, I suppose to touch on that, without having Wes in our corner there, we wouldn't have that ability to have them custom cams ground at such a fast rate. And he's one of the smartest blokes I've ever spoken to in the V-twin industry. So, we run with him, we run with ideas, and he puts his little spin on it, and that's how we come up with his collaboration camshafts. Like you mentioned with the manifolds and things like that, you'll see guys state that you can't make, 150 horsepower with a stock throttle body and a 55mm manifold, and, we kind of call bullshit on that because we've done it so many times, and it comes down to the overall combination of parts. If you've got a good cylinder head and the right camshaft, the right compression ratio, the right exhaust, it'll make it every day of the week. So Mark might touch a bit more on that. He's got his own theories around the throttle body size and manifolds on that as well.
Air's just lazy, Tommy. It doesn't like going around corners. There is one thing that we need to work on, and we will work on this in the future. If we can change that in the Milwaukee 8, twin cam's very similar, but especially with Milwaukee 8, it'll be a game changer. Like you'll see massive gains. It's going to be expensive, but something we're definitely working on. So.
I just want to add on that too. There, you can see, obviously, you're aware, Mark, yourself, and some of the viewers, that on the newer, the center-cooled Milwaukee 8 does have a shorter intake tract and different intake port design with a different throttle body and intake manifold, which does reduce that short-turn radius on the inside. And as Mark was just saying there, air doesn't like going around the corners. So, I mean, I guess what he's trying to say is you can put the biggest hole in the head you want, but if you've got a manifold on the front of it that's got to turn a really sharp corner, it gets to a point where the bigger intake port size is just going to become irrelevant, because if the airs can't turn the corner, it's just creating a low pressure there, and there's just nothing happening. So, that's really, really going to move forward with these new engines, as you said, Mark. Like going around those corners with these new ports, I think there's going to be a lot of room for power to be made there, and especially as these things develop on. I mean, you can see what the engineers at Harley have done with this new center-cooled engine. They've obviously prioritised cooling to the rear head first, bringing it like cross-flowing the coolant through the heads, and also the changes with the intake track. There's a lot of different things. The combustion chamber, a lot more squish in there. There's lots of different benefits moving forward that you can see that the engineers have done, drawing from the aftermarket and what guys like APE are doing out there. They're really bringing that to the market for Harley-Davidson customers.
Another thing there too, Tommy, we touched on, the cylinder heads. Like you look at the like a stock valve CNC ported head with the valve job, how much air that moves, and the power that can be produced. You look at a lot of these guys, I think they're going to go straight to a 2 mil overhead for their street build. Like we don't. Now we've got different theories on that and different ideas. Like our Sneaky Pete kit, it religiously puts out 150 to 155 horse, same torque. It's got stock valve ported heads with a valve job, a set of springs on it, 515 cam, not overly compressed, it's only 11.2 to 1. And on the flow bench, you might see, the stock valve heads flow, around that 400 CFM mark at 28. Plus 2 might flow 430. But it all depends on the overall combo, because you can go and throw a plus 2 head on that Sneaky Pete and you might gain 1 or 2 horsepower. So even though you've got 30 CFM on the flow bench, it doesn't equate to that on the drum. So we've been testing these series, time and time again. And, that stock valve M8 head can flow and produce a lot more power than what people give it credit for.
You look at those flow numbers, 4.8 single cylinder head. If you get back to the small block or big block Chev, theory, that's enough air to make 1,000 horsepower for V8. You cut that into 4, there's plenty of air to make the power. It can flow the air. That's not probably the biggest issue, the valve size or lift of the camshaft is another one. Lifting a cam further than you need to, all it does is you're using energy to open the spring further. So you're putting the handbrake on it there. And if we can't rev these things to 8,000 RPM, so there's no point. You look at a 515 hour lift cam, or that will be more than enough to make as much power as you can in something. It's just the duration and the lobe set and intake loads. That's all that really needs to be changed around. But a lot of people get hung up, bigger number must make more power. Not necessarily. I think that makes sense.
On that, we I think going back in 2020, I had a 124 road cam we put together. I actually bought the bike off my old man. It's just an old green kind of old man's bike, and we threw a 124 combo together. Heaps of combo. It was 12.6 to 1 static or something like that on pump fuel, but we tried, I think, 6 or 7 camshafts in a matter of a couple of weeks. Sam was changing cams every other day. And result, the CR482, which is a 482 lift cam, quite large in duration, we tested it against a 590 lift cam with the same duration. There was 1 horsepower difference. You know what I mean? So similar duration, similar intake closing point. We went through, numerous cams from many manufacturers. And that low lift 482 was able to produce 162 horsepower, just the right combination of parts. So they had Neil's heads on it from Warflow, a 64 mil. Had the compression it needed, really big Bassani, kind of high horsepower pipe. And that's where we kind of looked at that theory. Like we added a cam with another 100th hour lift and gained bugger all, next to nothing.
Ben wanted me to run a 10-second pass on that thing. So Friday night testing tune, it wasn't getting there. It was making too much torque early. Saturday morning, I brought it to work, changed the camshaft, tuned it, took it back and qualified, and then we went 1086 that afternoon. So that's the sort of shit we'll do just to, have some fun, I suppose. So.
Yeah, exactly right. I think a lot of the guys may know, like I'm pretty lucky to be working where I work and do the things I do because, the boss man here, Mark, is I mean, if you can't tell, he's pretty passionate about going fast and revving things up and having fun. And that really does. I mean, Mark is a guy who not only is a business owner, but he's in the dyno, he's on the tools, he's doing the tuning, he's out there involved in this stuff just as heavily as myself and Ben and everyone else that's involved with trying to go fast. So I think that really does help keep this thing pushing because, that without passion behind it, it just kind of, the creativity will start to take off, but then as the passion falls over, it just kind of dies. But, having you two guys and people out there racing, wanting to go faster and faster, just helps keep pushing this envelope forward and, helping design and develop parts, camshafts, different types of things. I mean, APE, obviously, you guys have got, pistons and stuff you're getting manufactured for certain specifications for different compression ratios. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm just really excited to see where this goes in the next few years.
Yeah, and we touched on that with the pistons and the like, Tommy. We're trying to make it as easy as possible for our dealer network. So, when we're doing like a lot of assembly, we're noticing that certain brands of pistons were anywhere between kind of 10 to 15 below deck. And, if you were to throw a 40-hour gasket on that, that thing's never making power. So, we've added additional deck height into the pistons and we've gone to a fully Armorex coating with, some clearances built into the coating. We've gone to a total seal ring pack and we're trying to make these things as far safe as possible to assemble. And, that's what we're trying to really focus on now is growing our dealer network and offering that great kind of after-sales service. So we've got a few things in mind we're going to roll out the next couple of months around that as well.
Ben, just on that, what are some of the key, just so, because a lot of people probably hear me talk about this on my channel, but just from, the horse's mouth, so to speak, Ben, what are some of the crucial parts of the engine assembly that you think may get overlooked at other places or may just be sort of brushed over where they probably should be focusing a little bit more?
Yeah, mate, honestly, my number one call is honestly coming from people that mismatch combinations, mate. They could have say they've got a 114, they've got a really short duration, kind of torque cam style, camshaft in it. And then they decide they want to go to, a 128 kit but they want to keep their camshaft, and a lot of stuff then's overlooked. Guys don't factor in the additional cylinder pressure, and we had one a while back there where the parts team threw the They threw everything at it. It had, big 2 mil overheads and 11.5 to 1 static and, 64 mil and everything you could do to it, right? And they left the little Redshift 468 cam in it. And by all means, that's a great camshaft as a bolt and produces phenomenal torque. But at 11.5 to 1 static, the amount of cylinder pressure, I think it was cranking near on 300. It was through the roof, and they pushed the base gasket out and they couldn't tune it. And they called us, and we, luckily they hadn't done any damage. We sent a longer duration camshaft down. The bike's running happy now, but just some guys just do not understand the basics of assembling a motor. That's not having a shot at them. They mightn't have had that experience, but that's where we're here to help, and that's what we have come up with certain kits. So now our stump puller kit or our Sneaky Peter, a silverback. Guys will say, "Oh, what's it going to make if I swap this cam for that cam?" But we put them kits together because that's what we've developed. We've worked out the chamber volume. Now we've got the deck height kind of built into the pistons. We know the TDC lift of the camshaft. We've got the valve pocket size. We know all that, so we can put that, send that to a customer. They can put that together. We know it's going to be a happy combo. But if you go and pull that cam out and put some other camshaft in, we don't know whether it's going to work or not. You know what I mean? Because so that's the bigger thing. Like checking deck heights, piston to valve clearance, piston to cylinder wall clearance. A lot of that stuff gets overlooked, and they're normally the motors that will have issues down the track.
I think what Ben was saying there, guys, with that shorter duration cam and such a high compression, you have to remember with the 4-stroke cycle of the engine, there's only one stroke that puts power into the crank. The other 3 take it out. So when you're trying to compress a really high compression, like if it's a short duration cam, the cylinder, like the intake valve shutting at virtually the bottom of the stroke, and the piston's trying to force all that air together before it ignites. I mean, you're losing so much power. It's just essentially fighting against itself. So as Ben was saying, with the bigger duration camshaft, you're essentially freeing up the engine, allowing it to breathe and rev in its more natural rev range, rather than trying to, this thing looks great on paper. The 462 or 468 might make great power here, so let's multiply it, put cubes on it, and a bit more compression. But essentially, as you just pointed out, Ben, you're fighting against yourself. You're creating too much cylinder pressure. You've got to pull the ignition out of it to keep it. You've got to put fuel in there. It just you end up in a world of hurt. So. Well, guys, we've been at this now about 30 minutes. Is there anything you guys think we should touch on or keep chatting about, or?
Oh, mate, we could talk all day, eh? We might have to do it a few more. Get a few more sessions lined up, I think, mate.
If people have got some specific questions they want to reach out to you, Tommy, we're happy to get back on and answer them, mate. Because my mobile, Ben's mobile's on the website and Facebook and all that sort of stuff. I've taken probably 8 or 9 phone calls this morning and tuning advice and putting quotes together and all that sort of stuff. Happy to talk to everybody. Sometimes I can't get back to you, but with me, if you leave a voice message, I will return your call. If there's no message left, I don't have I need to know what we're calling about. So
maybe we could have another segment, Tommy. We might touch on probably our most commonly asked question is the bolting camshaft. 480 MT, 480, 483, 485. That's probably my number one question, even right down to the social media, from the States, or, we're constantly getting questions about which cam would you put or use in this application. And, there's so many variables there and so many questions that have to be asked. So if maybe we can line up another segment, we can go through them camshafts about, what application we would use them in. I think that'd be very valuable for the people watching as well.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I'm keen to try, and even if we wanted to do maybe a monthly or perhaps a monthly segment where we go through and touch on some of the combos for that month that we've done, or just, as you said, just do more of a workshop chat, just a debrief for the end of the month or something like that. We could help bring more information out there to the guys. But if you are in the Harley scene and you're in and you're looking at performance stuff, if you haven't heard of APE, you need to. Guys, they're all over social media, Facebook, Instagram, the website there. The relationship they've got with Cyclorama, I'll just give a shout out to them again. Wes and Pam over in Florida in the States. Great team to have on board with APE. All the phone calls and back and forth between Ben and Mark, between developing camshafts and trialing things. It's been an outstanding, and I'm sure you guys are very stoked with the relationship you've built there. So shout out to Cyclorama. Thanks everyone for coming in and tuning in and watching this today. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've got something out of it. We've all taken a bit of time out of our day to get this to you guys. So if you did want to consider becoming a member of the channel, you can check that out. Help support the channel so we can bring you guys some more content like this. But yeah, thanks very much, Mark and Ben. If there's anything you want to add, about if you think I've missed something or anything else, but yeah, if you haven't checked out APE, check them out on Facebook. They're posting on their daily dyno graphs, drag race results, projects on the go. Yeah, it's all over there. So guys, thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us,
Thanks,
Tommy.
Tommy.